Hello, Conspiracy of the Rich fans, and this is Robert Kiyosaki, and I thank you for being part of a revolutionary new way of writing a book. It's a way of writing a book about history as history is occurring. Because as you know, this financial crisis will go down in history for years to come. You know, what a big screw up this has been. So anyway, thank you again for being part of it, and as promised in Chapter 9, I would give you a personal tour of why my wife Kim and I created this board game, the Cash Flow game. So I'll explain it as best I can. This here is a thing called the rat race, and many people know what the rat race is. You go to school to get a job, and pretty soon you have kids, or get married and have kids and all this stuff, and pretty soon you're stuck in here. And this here is the fast track. So one of the differences between the rich, the poor, and the middle class is that the poor and the middle class are trapped in this, are trapped in the rat race. And the rich invest on the fast track. These people here buy stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, predominantly mutual funds through their retirement plans and college plans. The fast track was actually created, I believe, around 1933 or that era during the Depression by a man named Joseph Kennedy, who was the father of President John Kennedy. And the fast track was defined as the place where the rich could invest. And the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, that's supposed to protect the poor, actually work with these guys, and they sell the stocks, bonds, and mutual funds for these guys. So there's really two different worlds in the world of money, the rat race and the fast track. So when Kim and I designed this game, this is the whole thing. You can see the deals are differently in here. And the object of the game is to go from here to get out of the rat race. So very simply, that's it. So this is the official game board. And this here is the real piece de resistance of the cash flow game. This here is a financial statement. This here is income, expenses, also known as an income statement or a P&L, profit and loss statement. And this here is the balance sheet. And the balance sheet is assets and liabilities. And this here is the third part of a financial statement. It's called the statement of cash flow. So the cash flow game is the only game that actually combines both investing, which is an exciting part of the world, with the most boring part of the business world, which is accounting. So by playing the game, what you actually begin to do is understand the world of investing and accounting, boring and exciting. The reason I recommend playing it at least 10 times is because it takes a while to learn the nuances of the game. You're learning a whole nother vocabulary, new ways of thinking. Think of the game as actually going to the gym. It's exercise for you to think and all this. And the reason people play the game so many times is because the game is different every single time. For example, one of the first things you do, you start with your dream. Well, this is my dream. Because Rich Dad says, go for your dreams. And what most people say is live below your means. Well, there's two different worlds between go for your dreams and live below your means. So the Rich Dad Company believes in going for your dreams. The other part about it is the plan to go from here to here, and the plan is found on this. And the other thing you do is then you can be a janitor, or you can be a doctor, you can be an airline pilot, a secretary. It doesn't make a difference how much money you earn. You can be any profession, but you can still win the game simply because the cash flow game is about financial IQ, not academic IQ. So that's basically the oversight of the game. What gives the game more horsepower is called the Cash Flow Club Kit. In here are 10 steps. 10 priceless, sophisticated lessons that bring out the power of the game. The Cash Flow Club Kit is only available through official cash flow clubs. You say they're official cash flow clubs, and an official cash flow club is a club that subscribes to the rules, regulation, policies, and values of the cash flow, the Rich Dad Company. Unofficial cash flow clubs, they're great clubs also, but they don't necessarily follow the values, tenets, and rules. Many unofficial cash flow clubs have cash flow games to lure you in to sell you real estate investments or mutual funds or whatever they are. Nothing wrong with that. We all have something to sell. But unofficial cash flow clubs, the main objective of a cash flow club leader is to provide a safe learning space so that you can come to learn without being pressured to buy some kind of investment, like this. So we recommend going through the 10 steps first before you start looking at any investments, because your greatest asset is your brain, and your brain can either make you money or lose your money. So basically, that is what the cash flow club game was designed to do: the rat race, the fast track. But this is the real piece de la resistance, the thing that separates the baby games from the advanced games. Is a financial statement. And this is awarded a patent throughout the world. And basically, again, is income statement and balance sheet. So before I go on, I'll do some diagrams of what this game is designed to do, because if I could do some rough sketches of it. This here is the income statement. So you got income and expense, asset, and liability. The big problem with most people, the people who get stuck in the rat race, the reason they get stuck in the rat race is they don't know the difference between assets and liabilities. As you know, most people say my house is an asset, but if you understand basic accounting, you'll know that your house is not an asset. In most cases, your house is a liability. And the reason people are in financial trouble, stuck in the rat race of life over here, is they operate by a very amateurish accounting system. They count their house as an asset, their house is an asset, their car is an asset, and all this, but they're really liabilities. So let me explain why the name of the game is cash flow, because again, this is an income statement or a P&L, this is a balance sheet, but the most powerful part of any financial statement is this thing called the statement of cash flow. And that's what this area is here. So what the game teaches you is your brain to start thinking in the vocabulary of income, expense, asset, liability statements of cash flow. It's the only game in the world that teaches it. And the 10 steps, the Cash Flow Club kit, really magnifies and intensifies your learning. Because this is the difference between assets and liabilities. Very simply said, my rich dad said, assets put money in your pocket whether you work or not. And that's shown, the green represents the statement of cash flow. So the cash flow from the asset into the income statement. And what a liability does, it takes money from your pocket and sends it out the expense column. So expenses show up here, income shows up here. And pretty soon, via pictures and all this, and playing the game 10 times, your mind starts to work, and you begin to see the world as the rich see it, as professional investors see it, not people who buy mutual funds and gamble on the stock market. That's not what we do. So that's what makes the game extremely powerful, is by playing it 10 times, your brain starts to go to work, and when your brain starts to go to work, you learn to have money work for you, so you don't spend your life working for money. And that's one of the purpose of the game, the 10 steps of the official cash flow clubs. Again, the official cash flow clubs provide you a safe learning space, not being pressured to buy something. We're not offering you investments and things like that, and this is a hot deal, and by the way, we've got a big asset for you. That's not what we do. Other cash flow clubs do that. That's not what we want to do. The final thing I want to say about how we develop the cash flow game is this. There's 3 basic levels to the game. We have a kids game, and it's called Cash Flow for Kids. It's a great game, and it's different because instead of words and numbers, the Cash Flow for Kids game uses pictures and colors. So it's because the kids' brain is different than adults' brain. And so the kids' game is great for ages approximately 5 to 12. Many times kids are 10, they're already caught on to the game and they move on. The next level is called Cash Flow 101. And what that is fundamental investing. For example, Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors in the world, is known as fundamental investing. So Cash Flow 101 is fundamental. And the next level, the advanced level, is Cash Flow 202. And what Cash Flow 202 is, it's called technical investing. And what technical investing is so this is fundamental, it looks like this. What technical investing looks like this is what a technical investor is looking for are the ups and downs of the stock market or the real estate market, whatever it is. So by learning 202, you're not afraid of the ups and downs of market crashes. For instance, if you're up here, you can go short and actually make money as the stock market crashes. When you're down here, when prices are low, you can actually make prices coming up. Another thing good about technical investment is you actually learn to buy insurance at these points here. So when somebody says investing is risky, that's not really true. The reason investing is risky is they don't have the proper financial education, which is cash flow 202. So we have 3 levels of game, kids, 101, 202. When you go through Cash Flow Club Kit, the 10 steps, you actually go through 101 and 202. And the great thing about the Cash Flow Club Kit, you actually go on the electronic versions of these games, and the graduation, the granddaddy, is to play Cash Flow 202, which is fundamental plus technical, and you get to challenge people all over the world electronically. So your club challenge helps you challenge another member, another club, get to meet people in Japan, Russia, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the US, Europe, things like this. So it's a great way to meet people all around the world, to meet people of like-minded intelligences or interests, but also to increase your financial IQ. So that's fundamentally my personal reason for my wife and I to create the board game Cash Flow 101 and 202 back in 1996 when it first came out. So anyway, that's what we do, and that's some of the beauties of having this cash flow game. It's the only one that I know that does this. It's patented, and again, there's official clubs and unofficial clubs. So in closing, the thing I want to talk to you about is this, and it's pretty fundamental. The reason so many people are terrified today of the stock market, the real estate market, the bond market is because 90% of the investors invest for capital gains. And capital gains is basically you try and buy low, hoping the price will go up. So when a realtor or a stockbroker says to you, you're going to buy the stock at $10, I think it's going to go to 20. That's called capital gains. That's speculation. That's gambling. That's not what I do. The other type of investor invests for cash flow. And what a cash flow investor is looking for, again, is something very sophisticated that capital gains investors don't look for, is a cash going from the asset into your pocket. The reason I don't worry about the ups and downs of the market is because every month I have cash flow. So my wife and I today have about 1,400 rental units, and every month 1,400 people send me cash. Another thing too is we have oil, and every month every month oil company sends us cash. So we have cash flow. So prices can go up and down, but we don't worry about it. The people that are worried today are people who invest for capital gains. They're the people who buy the thing when the financial planners tell you, oh, don't worry, the stock market goes up on average 8% a year. Or don't worry, your house will go up in value over time. These people, these salespeople, which stockbrokers and mutual fund brokers and real estate brokers are, they're selling you in capital gains. That's risk. That is high risk because nobody can predict the ups and downs of a price or a market. It is much safer for the long term to really have an investment portfolio based on cash flow. The trouble with cash flow, it takes more intelligence and greater sophistication to find. So that's why we have the cash flow game. It's via cash flow. You get out of the rat race into the fast track. And this here is the real game board, income statement, balance sheet, and statement of cash flow. For the Cash Flow 101 game and 202, and the electronic versions, plus the kids game, we're designed to increase the most valuable asset you have is your brain. So that's why my wife Kim and I created the board game CASHFLOW.